Now it's time to take a look at some of the cars that enlivened the Hillclimb scene before the Second World War. Davy Baker's 9-litre aero-engine Picard Pictet is first away. Basil Davenport's GN Spider cars dominated Shelsley in the mid to late 20s. This is the Mark I version in the hands of David Lee. The rubber suspended lightweight special, conceived by Mini Pioneers Alec Issagonis George Dowson, is driven by Michael Fitzmaurice. Mike Moore used to drive the ex-Bob Dayson Simon Durling Turner on the hills. Now he's at the wheel of his beautifully restored Lagonda Rapier monoposto. This is the ERA Riley, in the hands of Keith Knight, who's sprinted, circuit raced and hill climbed the car for many years now. Believe it or not, Donald Day bought the ex-Johnny Wakefield Bob Gerard ERA from Keith Schellenberg in 1958 for just £650. Well, here's the man who sets the pace in the class. Martin Spencer at the wheel of the second of Basil Davenport's famous GN Spiders. Now it's time for former British hill climb champions to take to the hill in a variety of different cars. First up, it's 1988 British champion Charles Wardle in his Porsche 911. Martin Bolsover took a hat-trick of British titles in the early 80s aboard single-seater and sports cars, all built by Mike Pilbeam's company at Bourne, before moving on to circuit racing. Here's Martin now in the unique and beautiful McLaren M6 GT, the very first McLaren road car which was later converted to Can-Am spec for circuit racing before Ron Hand rebuilt it back to road trim. Roy Lane holds the record for the number of outright wins at Shelsley. At 22, it's one more than the legendary Raymond Mays. The Techcraft Motorsport boss has retired from driving single-seaters now and runs his superb Porsche 911, but during his career, the 4-times champion won a record number of British hill climb wins, 90 in all. 5-times British champion Martin Griffiths is driving his road-going E-Type today. All Martin's titles were won in Pilbeam cars, and he was the first to bring the ex-Formula 1 Cosworth DFR V8 onto the hills. the most successful hill climber of them all, 6 times champion Tony Marsh brings out the famous 4-wheel drive Marsh Special V8 in which he took his very last title, no less than 40 years ago. After his first 3 championships in the 50s, he concentrated on Grand Prix racing, returning to the hills for 3 more in the 60s. After a break, he made his motorsport comeback in 1988, and now in his mid-70s, Tony's still an active competitor. 1989 champion Ray Rowan is last to run, driving his self-developed Tolman-derived Roman. Rowan took the title with 4-cylinder heart power, and now, with the Judd V8 in the car, which is now owned by John Fellows, he's holding nothing back. It's the fastest run in the class by far. At 26.75, just 0.02 of a second faster than the FTD he took here at Shelsley in his championship year, 18 years ago. Post-World War II cars now, and trends in the British Championship up to the present day. Ron Jenkins leads the way in the Steyr Allard that Sidney Allard used to take the British title in 1949. Shelsley ladies record holder Sue Young, normally seen in husband Derek's Gould, drives something a little bit different today. She's at the wheel of Terry Granger's well-known HWM Jaguar.
Brakes on and
Here's Andrew Bennett in the Cooper Jack Mark V. Just the sort of car that drivers like Sterling Moss and Peter Collins cut their racing teeth on at Shelsley in the late 40s. John Bennett's Cooper Mark VI runs an engine based on components from the 2 great rival motorcycle manufacturers, Norton and Jack. Roger Willoughby's ex-Dickie Henderson Cooper, regular visitor to Shelsley, is supercharged and running single wheels today instead of the car's usual twin rear wheel setup. Alex Brown drives the Reg Phillips built Fairley Mercury. Reg built several successful specials and always used to say that if a car took more than a fortnight to build, it was too heavy. Martin Cowell drives the first of the rear-engine Lotuses, the 18, introduced in 1959. Cooper Bristol's never made much of a mark on the hills, but it's good to see Nigel Bancroft's superb example here at Shelsley. Richard Falconer's Emerson Special is similar to the car driven by hill climber Ray Fielding. The man who developed Doon hill climb in Scotland back in the late 60s. Still in Scotland, here's Vernon Williamson's Ecos Imp, which was designed by Stan Sproat for Scots racing driver Graham Bill in the mid-60s. A regular competitor in British hill climbing in the 60s and 70s, Brian Eccles drove this immaculate Brabham Buick in period. We'll see a bit more of this car because it's been sold to Simon Durling, who will race it in classic events in 2008. Roger Dean's massive 5-litre Lola Formula 5000 car is typical of the type of cars that dominated hill climbing in the early 70s. Bags of torque off the line. George Tatham's McLaren M12C is even bigger, it's 7.6 litres. It's unique among McLaren sports cars, having only ever been used on the hills. Malcolm Eaves was an active British Championship hill climber in the 60s and is a regular competitor to this day. Here he's let loose in the difficult ex-Peter Blackstone 4-wheel drive Brabham Quattro. More modern times now, and Keith Harris sets the outright pace in the class aboard his Chevron BDA. And Barry Lyons knows one better to take over the class lead in his Rover V8 powered Argo. Here's the Whitehead family Pilbeam MP50 again. Lynn just phoning to catch Barry Lyons by 100th of a second. Britain's current top hill climb car constructor is David Gould. Here he is driving the famous Gould Hart, in which Chris Kramer took the Mark's first British title in 1985. Not bad for a car built in a small garage at the bottom of the garden. The final runner, quickest in the class, is Stuart Robb driving the big Pilbeam Cosworth in which David Grace took the first of 2 of his 5 British Hill Climb titles. Appropriate that we should see this car at Shelsley because it's also the car in which Richard Brown held the outright record for no less than 9 years. Back now to the modern classes and big modified production sports cars. First away is the author of that definitive hill climbing history, Uphill Racers, Chris Mason in the big Jaguar E-Type. Here's Edmund Peel now coming to the line in his Caterham.
Part of the modified production sports car class.
Locking a wheel up into the S's, but safely out at the top. This is regular Michelin Porsche Championship contender Stuart Whitmore. Lots of power and torque now from Dave Jones' ex-TBR Tuscan Challenge car. It's a 31.06 from Jones. That's the class lead. Jonathan Williamson is one of the quickest Porsche drivers on the hills, but can he match the torque of the big cars on Shelsley's power slopes? Jones 31.06 leads. But Williamson can't quite match it. It's second place so far, but here's Mike Hall and his 5 litre Morgan Plus 8. Mike's been driving this car for longer than you care to remember. It's another spectacular run which just fails to match Jones in the TVR. So it's V8 1 and 2. Mick Harriman is having a go in Keith Edwards' fearsome Dialinks Quattro today. Well, it's a good run from Mick, 4th place in the borrowed car with just 2 runners to go in the class. John Bradburn's another driver who'll be switching to single-seaters next year, so he'll want to make his last appearance in the big 5.2 litre Westfield SE8 count. Jones still leads in the Tuscan, but now it's Bradburn that snatches the top spot. He just pips the TVR by 2/10. So the final runner, Keith Edwards, comes to the line. The time to beat is now John Bradburn's 30.27. It's a good run so far from Edwards, but once again a missed gear out of top S could cost time. It does indeed, and all Edwards can do is claim 4th place. Some of the closest competition in hill climbing comes from the Hillclimb Supersports division, known to its regulars by its original name of the Clubman's class. Phil Derbyshire's first away, sharing, as always, Bob Dason's Ward Mark 8D. Peter Cox now in the Mallet 27 SG that he shares today with son Ben. All the cars in this class are powered by the 1700cc restricted Ford Crossflow Clubman spec engine. It's a 31 for Peter, but we should be looking for 28 second runs to secure the win. Here's one man who could do it, Ashley Ward, one of the 2 rapid Ward brothers. He's next to the line in his Mark 20 Mallet. It's another quick run from Ashley, who will finish the year as top Clubman's driver in the Power Mech Leaders Championship. It's the class lead, but only with a 29. So what can Gavin Stevens do? Another competitive pair of brothers in this class. Gavin drives the Mark 21-24 version of Arthur Mallet's popular Clubman's car. It's a great run for Gavin, a 28.91 personal best that gives him the class lead. Next away it's Philip Young in his older model Mark 17B.
3191, Philip Young now, Mallet Mark 17, we're back in the Hillclimb Supersports.
Here's the Joe Ward built Ward again, this time in the hands of Hillclimb veteran and ADS engineering boss Bob Dason. George Emerson has made the trip down from Scotland to compete in his Mark 21 Mallet. And here's Ben Cox, son of Peter, who we saw earlier at the wheel of the Mark 27 SG. Gary Stevens still leads, so it's all down to the two top-seeded runners. Chris Ward is first, and this should be a determined run from the man who works during the day as a personal fitness instructor. He wants the class record to make sure of keeping an on-form Gary Stevens at bay. It's the class lead for Chris Ward, but at 28.74, just 7/100ths of a second away from Martin Stretton's 4-year-old record. So it's all down to Gary Stevens. He's been battling with the Ward brothers all season, so this is his last chance to snatch another victory in the Mark 24. This is a great run from the Hambleton driver, who apart from anything else had to rescue his Mallock from the recent flooding in the Midlands. And it's a new record for Stevens, 28.63, a vital 400ths margin to end this always entertaining class. Back to the 1950s now, and the old-style Formula 3 cars of the 500 Owners Association. Keith Robinson's first away with his Cooper Mark 5. Here's Humphrey Collis with his J&R. Mike Erskine designed back in the early 50s the car with which Reg Bicknell made his name. This is Jan Nix's beautifully restored example. Nix takes the lead with that run in the swing axle star ride, but now it's Mike Lawrence with the Cooper Mark 10. It's a quick run from Lawrence, which took the class lead in the 500 class. And finally, here's Steve Lawrence in the Mark 8. This is the car that Sterling Moss demonstrated at Shelsley a few years ago at the MAC's centenary meeting.
With the Mark 8.
And Steve Lawrence takes the class win with the only sub-40 time in the class, 39.41. Just two cars are running today in the pre-85 single-seater class. First, it's Steve Hemingway in his Warrior twin-cam-powered Pilbeam MP52. The only space frame Pilbeam model built, which was originally intended for Formula 4 2000. Another Pilbeam this time, and it's the aluminium monocoque MP56, the immaculate car of Gordon Marston, which is Cobblers VDA proud. He takes the class win. First Cross's early example of Arthur Mallock's original Formula Junior car opens the Paul Matty Classic Challenge class. Arthur's first customer cars were known as U2s because U2 could build one. This is the last time the Paul Matty Challenge will be run on handicap, as next year it'll be a scratch competition. Bryony Serrell's Formula Ford Lotus 51A is a regular challenge competitor. Check out those rabbit's ears.
Must have heard you.
Here's former Autosport editor and BBC Radio Grand Prix commentator Simon Taylor. Simon started his racing career back in the 60s in the Clubman's class and is now a regular hill climber aboard his ex-Stern Moss HWM, which for most of its life has run with this 5.8 litre Chevrolet engine as the Stove Bolt Special. On the line now, it's Basil Davenport's Mark II GN Spider again. This time in the hands of Duncan Round. Alan Goodwin, now reunited with the Alden sports racer that he built for Formula F100 well over 30 years ago, has had a good season in the now Ford twin cam power car and looks on course to set the outright pace in the class. He does just that, but when the handicappers have done their sums, he'll finish second overall to Mike Fisher, who takes the handicap win in his rare Formula Ford Tringit Mistral. Formula Ford to Formula 2, and this is perhaps the definitive F2 Brabham. This is Mike White's BT21V.
Motorsport twin cam engine looks absolutely right for its period. BT21.
The Vixen VB1 was built by Alec Bottoms in the late 60s for Formula 4. Grant Crutchley's nicely restored version has the original Hillman impound. Kelvin Lee is the sports car record holder in the Paul Matty Classic Challenge. A good start from Kelvin, but he just fails to catch Alan Goodwin for the fastest time in the class on scratch. Mike White's self-built MG Special is based on an MGB engine and running gear. This is a successful attempt by Mike to recreate the classic single-seater style of the 50s. Penultimate class runner John Cottrell and his Formula Ford Lotus 51A is chasing championship leader Andy Tippett hard. And here is the Paul Matty Challenge leader, Andy Tippett. It looks good so far, but it's not to last. Perhaps not one of Andy's best runs of the year, and the spin at the S's leaves him third in class, but despite that, he's still done enough to take the outright Paul Matty Challenge title for 2007. Lunchtime approaches and the crowds gather for the opening British runoff of the day. Martin Groves only needs 5th place to deny Scott Moran a chance at the first ever British title, but anything can happen in Hillclimb. First to the line in this penultimate British Championship runoff of the year, it's Paul Ransom. Ransom's pushing hard, but maybe with just a fraction in reserve as he warms up the goal for co-driver Martin Groves, who really has everything to go for in this runoff. So 24.45 is the benchmark for the 11 remaining drivers in the runoff. Here's 1997 champion Roger Moran. Tomlin's new lead time of 23.84 is an impossible target for Tom New and the little Pilbeam Rover KB6, but Tom's happy with a guaranteed second successive 10th place championship finish in the 2 litre car.
Already out of kennel. Top 3.16
Oliver Tomlin comes to Shelsley level on points with Rob Turnbull for 12th place in the championship. Can he grab that extra point to take sole charge of the placing? That 25.08 from Tomlin could just give him the edge on the series table over Rob Turnbull, who's next to the line. So will the most experienced man in the runoff be able to turn the tables? .49 will leave Turnbull just out of the points, so Tomlin grabs that championship 12th place.
5 at the moment. Next up, we should see Basil Pitt about to come to live. Basil Pitt has one and yellow colour.
2007 Egethley Trophy winner Basil Poacher Pitt is another happy man. Whatever happens today, he'll finish with the best ever championship 7th overall. It's great to see and hear that fabulous GWR Predator V10 again in the hands of double champion Graham White Jr. That's second place for White Jr. and the good news is that Graham and the V10 are set to return in 2008.
Tommy New in 7th position.
Hooley Bay and Wiscombe Park winner Trevor Willis is ending a great year for both himself and OMS cars with the best ever 5th overall in the championship.
2 motorcycle 1400cc engines bonded together.
Very
into Kennel. The group one this end of the hill. 24
This will be the last British Championship appearance for the man who actually lives at the very top of Shelsley Walsh, Simon Durham. Simon Durham retires from top-level hill climbing on a high, taking the lead at this stage from Roger Moran. Like Durley, Chris Merrick is another driver ending his best year so far in the sport, with the championship's 6th place overall.
Next up, we've got Chris Merrick. Let's row, let's walk around. Chris Merrick.
Over the line.
23.79 to beat it, doesn't quite do it. 24.
So Durling still leads the way, but with just Martin Groves and Scott Moran to run, this is the battle, not just for the lead, but for the 2007 championship. Remember, Groves only needs to finish 5th, but that's not something he's accustomed to. With Shelsley's 5th hill record of the year, Groves seals the title in style.
Martin Groves takes the record away from Scott Moran on the first run-off here at Shelsley Walsh.
7 miles an hour over the line.
So having lost his record to the new champion, Scott Moran comes to the line confirmed in 2nd place overall. It's been his best year by far, one where he really took the fight to Groves and never gave up. Can he possibly end the season on a high by retrieving his Shelsley record? .98. That's 2nd place for Scott Moran, but in 2008 things could be different. So 2007 champion Martin Groves comes down the hill to receive congratulations not only from the large Shelsley crowd, but also from wife Mandy and the children. British hill climbing is renowned not only for its family atmosphere, but also for its intense competitiveness, while all the time maintaining the very best sporting tradition. The year 2007 certainly bore that out.
Best time of the day, hill record of 22.81, concluding a 3rd win in the Hillclimb Championship, Martin Groves.
Switch on, Martin. Oh, well, thanks very much, John. Firstly, I want to say it's been probably the hardest championship year that we've done. Scott's been a fabulous competitor, made it really difficult for me, so I want to say thanks to all the Moran team for being such great competitors but great sports at the same time. And I'm sure next year will be more to come. Well done to Sean and David Gould. They've managed this year to make it 10 championship wins on the trot. That hasn't been achieved for an awful long time. And David and Sean have provided us with a fantastic car, giving us great support all year. And lastly, just to all my family, I couldn't do it without them. Their support has been great. Thanks a lot, man. Yes, thank you very much. Everybody have a good winter, and we may or may not see you next year.
Good job, Roger. Scott ran out of the way.